Today, a dedicated Connecticut State Trooper was taken from us.
Tragedy on I-84. A state trooper killed while dedicating his life to keep the roads safe.
Take greater care when you drive. Respect your fellow citizens. Uphold the law.
First responders showing support for the fallen hero. The community once again mourning the loss of a state trooper who died in the line of duty.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
For the first time, a U.S. president has been convicted of a felony. Donald Trump found guilty on 34 counts of falsifying business records. We'll tell you what that means in his race for the White House.
And all eyes on Stamford Superior Court. Michelle Troconis expected to be sentenced in connection to the death and disappearance of Jennifer Farbo-Julos. What's being considered as she's set to spend time behind bars. All that and more right now on Connecticut's news station.
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good morning. Thank you for choosing Fox 61 and Fox 61 Plus this Friday. I'm Tim Lammers.
And America Areas, thanks for being with us. Good morning. We have a lot of news to unpack for you this morning, including that terrible story in Southington where a state trooper was killed in the line of duty. First, though, we are going to get a check on the weather and traffic for you as we take a live look outside all across our state. Blue skies as far as the eye can see. Great news for everybody heading into this weekend. Right, Matt?
Absolutely, Erica. Good morning to you on this Friday, 8:01, and things are looking good. We're going to start a nice little streak going with a lot of sunshine, a few clouds in there throughout the weekend, but seasonal temperatures as they get a little warm into the lower 80s. Seasonal for today, I should say. We're building the temperatures, but not the humidity, and that's what's going to make this a 4-star weekend. Cloud and radar pictures quiet as we just showed you with all those cameras. Not looking for that to change. Down to 53 in Putnam, up to our, well, I was going to say our lucky 61s all over Chester, New Haven, and Danbury, but the big winner right now, 62 degrees in Bridgeport. This is what you want to thank for the glorious feel out there. The fact that the dew points are in the 40s and staying there. Look at Chester, 39. Nice. We got a nice, crisp day and a overall really crisp weekend ahead, so make the most of this one. 75 degrees as the kids get off the bus later on this afternoon. We'll talk about that weekend forecast in a few. 8:02. Let's say hello to Rachel Piscatelli. Good morning.
Hey, Matt. Things are looking good. No issues on this Friday morning commute. Out on the roadways, we have minor delays over in Fairfield County, but even those look pretty manageable. If you're traveling into Hartford now, that looks fine. Volume is up if you're traveling into downtown or through the Hartford Tunnel, but still manageable. So those drive times here, New Britain Ave to the Hartford Tunnel is 7 minutes. Travel speeds around 46 miles per hour. Southbound 91, Windsor to the I-84 interchange, Tim and Erica, a 5-minute drive.
Well, we have said over and over the years here that there is no such thing as a routine traffic stop for a police officer. Yesterday is exactly why we say that. A state trooper wound up getting killed in a hit and run while he was just doing his job.
Trooper First Class Aaron Pelletier was conducting a traffic stop on I-84 East in Southington yesterday when he was hit by a pickup truck. Now, the loss is being felt all across the state.
Yeah, we got live team coverage this morning. Lindsay Kane is in Farmington outside the chief medical examiner's office where Trooper Pelletier's body is right now. But first we begin with Keith McGilvery live in Southington near where the events unfolded yesterday.
Tim and Erica, it is a sad morning here in Southington this morning. Trooper First Class Aaron Pelletier being remembered as a family man with an infectious smile who was eager to work with Connecticut State Police. And it is that work that he was doing yesterday here along I-84 East in Southington, working an overtime shift, patrolling our state roads, making what is often thought as a routine traffic stop. Somebody apparently not wearing their seatbelt. That's when the trooper pulled that individual over and went to work in his efforts to keep Connecticut roadways safe. As that unfolded, we're learning from authorities that the driver of a red pickup truck came along 84, crossing over into the shoulder of the road, first striking the trooper's car and then striking Trooper Pelletier here a strike that turned out to be deadly. Learning that driver apparently then driving some 5 miles or so down the road to exit 39A Route 9 Thursday afternoon, where he was eventually caught up with and taken into state custody. State police really speaking to how they feel yesterday afternoon unfolded on the road.
TFC Pelletier generated a traffic stop event on his in-car computer and approached the vehicle. TFC Pelletier spoke briefly with the operator, and during the course of the interaction had advised the operator why they were stopped. At this time, a red pickup truck traveling in the right lane began to encroach upon the right shoulder, approaching TFC Pelletier's location. Preliminary information shows that the right side wheels of the pickup were completely over the dividing line into the shoulder, sideswiped TFC Pelletier's cruiser, and then struck TFC Pelletier in the shoulder while he was speaking with the operator of the vehicle that he had stopped.
There are obviously a lot of questions this morning, perhaps chief among them, who was driving that red pickup truck. Those are details we are currently awaiting from Connecticut State Police, but in speaking with the media, they tell us that eyewitnesses really playing a role in this investigation, many of them observing the aftermath of that crash, some staying on the phone with 911 dispatchers until they were able to make a connection with the driver of that truck and take him into custody. We are reminded of the fact that not only was Trooper Pelletier a 9-year veteran of the Connecticut State Police, but obviously a family man as well, a brother, a son, a husband, and a father to 2 little boys he now leaves behind. So our hearts obviously go out to them this morning. Do want to point out, coming up new in our next half hour at 8:30, we will hear from Connecticut State Police about the role Trooper Pelletier played in the men and women who came behind him in the Connecticut State Police. And then new in our 9 o'clock hour, taking a much closer look, Tim and Erica, at Connecticut's move over law. It is something that Rachel Piscatelli stresses often. We talk about it a lot on the roads as well. If somebody has been stopped on the side of the road, any kind of first responder, tow truck, police car, state police car, fire truck, you name it, it is your responsibility as a driver to pull over to the side of the road to keep everybody safe. We'll send things back to you.
Keith, thanks so much. Right now, we're turning things over to Lindsay Kane. She's live in Farmington, where the body of Trooper Pelletier is right now. She's outside the medical examiner's office. That's where a state police procession ended last night. And Lindsay, I have to imagine still a lot of police presence there, continuing to show their support.
Hi, good morning. Well, yes, it's been a very, very long night for police. There still is a police presence here at the office of the chief medical examiner here in Farmington, and it's just another small example of the enormous support in the first responder community in tragic times. Now, this was also the end point to a procession yesterday. Take a look at that video. You can see the massive sea of blue and red flashing lights, dozens and dozens of first responders taking part in that procession to show their support and solidarity. That line of cruisers and motorcycles traveled down I-84 to here in Farmington, where Trooper Pelletier was taken yesterday. Large flags lined the entrance to the chief medical examiner's office as community members also lined the road. That was a very emotional and difficult scene to watch. Many people putting their hands over their hearts as that procession rode by. As the first responder community mourns another on-duty death, officials across the state are mourning as well, as condolences and tributes are pouring in online. Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysiewicz speaking out, very emotional as she spoke about Trooper Pelletier's dedication. She says she met Trooper Pelletier 2 weeks ago when her staff car was stopped as part of a safety check.
State troopers are out every day on our roadways trying to protect the public. And what is so tragic about this day and losing him is that his life was lost while he was conducting a routine traffic stop to try to stop speeding, to try to make our roads safer, to try to keep the public safe by making sure that everyone who's driving is wearing a seatbelt.
Difficult sound to listen to. Now, coming up in the next half an hour, we'll hear more from our state leaders and city officials. Live in Farmington this morning, Lindsay Kane, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Lindsay, thanks so much. Well, meantime, Connecticut's news station is going to continue to bring you continuing team coverage on how the state is remembering Trooper Pelletier. We also have updates on the investigation surrounding his death on air, online, and on Fox 61+. And coming up at 9:30, retired police chief Gary McNamara is going to join us here in the studio, talking a little bit more about the move over law. So make sure you join us for that. That's coming up at 9:30.
Well, it's 10 minutes after 8 on this Friday morning, and today is the day that Michelle Troconis will be sentenced after she was convicted on 6 criminal charges, including conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with evidence.
Yeah, she was found guilty by a jury back in March. Fox 61's Brooke Griffin is live at the Stamford Courthouse with a breakdown of what could happen today. Brooke, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you. Michelle Troconis is facing up to 50 years in prison if that judge decides to hand her that maximum sentence. But keep in mind, Troconis is currently 49 years old, which means a 50-year sentence would theoretically turn into a life sentence for her. And this all for something that she has maintained her innocence on throughout the course of getting arrested and even through that trial. Now, on May 24th, 2019, that was the last time Jennifer Dulos was last seen alive. She was dropping her kids off at school that morning. Dulos has never been found, but a judge legally declared her dead last fall. Her estranged husband, Fotis Dulos, was charged with her murder shortly after that investigation began, but he never faced a jury for the charges because he killed himself shortly after they came down. His girlfriend at the time, Michelle Troconis, was also charged with conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with evidence. This after video showed her in the passenger seat of the truck that Fotis was driving on the day that Jennifer went missing, when he dumped bags of trash in a Hartford trash can. Troconis faced a month-long trial back in February. That jury found her guilty on all 6 counts, and she's been in jail since March 1st. Today, Jennifer's family will read impact statements in that courtroom. Several family and friends from across the world are also expected to speak on Troconis' behalf. That's in hopes of persuading that judge for a lesser sentence. Right now, again, she could spend up to 50 years in jail. Legal experts say that the judge really could go either way on his decision.
The judge is going to say, regardless of whether you did the act, you've been found guilty of conspiring to do it, which means that's what's going to be the end result. And then you help clear it up afterwards. I think after hearing impact statements from the family members, of a woman who had 5 children for no real motive other than selfishness, I think the judge is going to hammer her.
And of course, you know that we've had Julia LeBlanc inside that courtroom for the entirety of that trial earlier this year. She's going to be back in the Stamford Courthouse today. She will be there as that judge decides Troconis' fate, just how long that sentence is going to be, and whether or not it ends up turning into a life sentence. As soon as we have any information on that, we will get it out to you. Live in Stamford, Brooke Griffin, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Brooke, thank you. And again, folks, Connecticut News Station has you covered during sentencing today. We're going to stream the hearing live on Fox 61+ in its entirety, and then we'll break into programming here on Fox 61 when the judge announces the sentence.
8:13 now. The charges are in for former President Donald Trump's hush money trial.
Yeah, ahead, what our Constitution and what the Supreme Court says about his eligibility to be elected president going forward.
An ambush across state lines left 3 people dead, including an officer. Details at 8:25 on what led up to the mass shooting in Minneapolis.
Also, creating conversations that lead to change. Later on in the 8:30 portion of the show, one city in Connecticut is working to end the gun violence epidemic. We'll show you what they're doing to try to make a little bit of a dent in that problem.
And as we head to break, here's another live look here. Checking out the view from our Hartford City Cam. It's going to be a great day. We hope you stick with us. We'll be right back.